And welcome back to another edition of Official Word Sports. I'm Vince, and I'm here with my co-host Stevie D. You're smiling already. Why are you smiling, Stevie D?
Yeah, you know why? I'm waiting all week for this show. All week. I can't wait. I couldn't wait all week.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Enjoy it.
yeah, yeah. Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Merry Christmas, right? If this helps you get through the week, then that's what we're here for. We're about giving,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
We're
yeah, yeah.
we're we're about
Yeah,
giving.
about giving my butt. You don't want to give up that game. Yeah,
A
buddy.
game every game, any given Sunday. We say it on this show every single time. So no, enjoy it,
Yeah.
embrace it.
Oh, we will. We will. And now we're coming for the division title. Oh, yeah,
Okay,
buddy. Be ready.
but embrace
Be
it.
ready.
You can say what you will, just embrace it. I want you to embrace it. I want you to have a good time with it, right?
Yeah.
I want you
Oh,
to
I
sit
remember
around.
saying, "Hey, you can win games in division, but you're not going to beat the Buffalo Bills in this division. So, if you're going to get some wins, you're going to get
Pull,
it from the
pull,
other teams."
pull that tape because I didn't say that. Any given
Mm,
Sunday. I
yeah, you
remember
didn't say
beginning
that
of the
back then.
year. I remember at the beginning of the year giving kudos and credits to your team. So I'm about taking it one week at a time, and so we'll see what happens next week. We just have to stay focused, and we'll see what happens. But we're going to dig into that game a little bit. You're still smiling, so I want I'm going to just similarly to when we did our previous shows. I'm going to let you have most of the show, and I'll listen, and we'll see where it goes from there. So welcome to Official Word Sports. Your host, Stevie D. And Stevie D, take it away.
Well, the
I'm
Jets. What?
I'm gonna go on mute too, by the way, because in case something is said that I'm
I this is unscripted on the mute. See, this is what happens when the Jets have to come in and lay the smack down on the Buffalo Bills and basically make Josh Allen look like a mere mortal on the football field, right? And let's break down that game. Josh Allen has never been sacked 5 times in a game. Check. Now that's been done. Um, he had 175 yards passing in the first half. He had 30 in the second half. When his team needed him the most, Josh Allen was nowhere to be found in that second half. And against that vaunted Jet defense, I think the Jets defense really showed everybody on what they're really capable of doing, and how they took the best offense in the league and really held them in check. I mean, how many points did Buffalo score that game?
again for those just joining us. I'm on mute, just taking this for the ride.
How many points did Buffalo score that game? Did they score 20 points? No, they couldn't even score 20 points. Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, no, all seriousness, it was a crazy week leading up to it, right? Because Vince and I, we speak all the time, and it was just kind of weird leading up to this game. Like, it was like radio silence. We didn't talk after our last podcast. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday morning, crickets. Now Richard did call Sunday morning, and I think, did he wish you guys good luck? I don't know what he did, but he said he called. He said he woke you up. He's like, "Oh my God, I woke up Uncle Vince." I said, "Well, what time did you call him?" So, but we didn't talk at all. And then the game played.
There you are.
We were just talking about him last week.
Well, OW Sports After Dark.
Yeah, we were talking about Canada.
Yeah.
And SLT knows what we're talking about in Canada. But again, that's an after dark show. And so we didn't talk. And actually, at the end of the game, we didn't even talk. That's a great question, Lamar. That is a great question. And I thought we had a bet too.
We do for fantasy football, which you're gonna have to pay up. Yeah, I'll pull the tape. We do. You're sitting in last place.
Oh yeah, dude, I'm so bad. And you know what's interesting? When I got the draft grade gave me a D, like a D- on the draft grade. And I'm like, and then I won the first week. I'm like, what do those guys know? Yeah, not so good. Not so good. But at any rate, we didn't talk all week, and then Sunday, and then the game happened. Radio silence there for a couple hours, and then the text came and we started talking. But it was just odd because I think this was the first time.
Who called you?
You sent the text, and then
And then who called
oh,
who? Who called who?
I called. Didn't I call you? No, you called me. You sent a text, and I said thank you. And then you called me. Yes.
That,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You got
But
you got to wear the big boy pants.
yeah. Yeah.
Let's not let that get away. When something like that happens, you have to wear the big boy pants. This goes out to all of those that are out there, right? There's protocols, right? Things that you're supposed to do, have to do. And if you want to continue being part of that circle, things that you need to do. And so, in all fairness, even though he's been this shade of red since probably about 4:05, maybe because the game was delayed because of some camera thing. Just you started
Yeah.
thinking
And
about
you guys got a turnover coming off of that. That was set up perfectly for you guys.
there was something going on. Anyways, but after the game, probably about 45 minutes after the game, I sent to our group chat, "Congratulations on your victory."
Yes.
Right
Yep.
after that, then it was about 2 hours, and then you received the phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. But and in protocol, I did not do anything. I didn't say
You
anything.
did not.
I let
You
it.
did not.
Right. And that's
And,
part of
and
the
that whole
fandom.
and that whole time you were of that shade of red.
No, it's just the lighting in this room is off.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going back on mute. I'm going back on mute. It's
Oh no,
still the
no, no, no! Don't
CBDs.
go on mute. But it was just, it was interesting. Like when we know each other for 22 years, 23 years, something like that, and we never really had where two teams are where they were. Right? It's either Buffalo was better or the Jets were better. We really never had winning records really at the same time when we were going to play in a meaningful game. Right?
Wait, hold on. We both have been really bad at the same time.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
can't really brag when you're really bad and you play each other, and a really bad team beats another really bad team, right?
Yeah, we do because we
It's like
want
the
that
toilet
draft
bowl.
pick. We're like,
Oh yeah,
I
well
hope
that's true. That's
I
true. We
hope
talked
you
about that.
win. No, I hope you win.
But it was like almost feel like a feel to a like leading up to a playoff game where we just kind of retreated to our sides and waited for the game that to happen. So obviously every game is important, right? You want to win. Buffalo wants to win that game, just like the Jets want to win that game. But from a Jets perspective, that victory meant more to getting some credence from people that don't give the Jets respect out there. That every time we've done something, we haven't earned it. And what I'll say is that from a Jets defensive side of the ball, we show that we can play, and that our front four can bring the heat, and our secondary can match up well. And that's what I was so impressed about. We talked about this defensively for Buffalo. You guys were hurt in your secondary. You were hurt in your linebacker spots. So, we didn't get to go against your ones, right? You had two safeties out. You had your corner out, or two corners out. You get hurt during the game, and Milano was out, right? So, from an offensive side of the ball, we didn't get your best. Injuries happen. It is what it is. But going into that game, I really wanted to see the Jets defense against your offense, and I thought they passed the test. And, people can say what they want. The Jets defense stepped up and they played very well. And I think they confused your quarterback. Your quarterback is slumping. There's no doubt. Some of his decision making was bizarre on the interceptions. That one in front of Dawson Knox on the first drive of the game. When I saw the replay, I didn't realize there was a defensive lineman in his line of sight. I don't know if you saw
So
that on the replay.
but he wasn't really in the line of sight. It's so there's two lenses, right? You have the Green Jets lens that you look through, then you have the Bills lens that you look through,
Well,
right?
every team has two lenses, right?
And so
I mean,
when
when
you
you
when
lose, you
you
have a lens. When you win, you have a lens.
no, you hope that when you look through whether you win or lose, you're 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 unbiased and impartial, right? There's been games that both you and I coming off victories, right? We've been critical of the team even though you get the victory, right? You have to do better. And there's been times that, on the opposite, where you look through the lens and you say, we did really good, but right. And so you hope that you can be unbiased and impartial, right? And obviously you have that fandom in you a little bit, right? I have seen in games that the Bills have won where there's been some things that just have bugged me. Isaiah McKenzie, right? Even though we won, Isaiah McKenzie and his play,
In the end zone.
it just bugs me, right? I've seen bad penalties, right, and it bugs me. And you overcome those, right? And so you're happy you got the victory, but you're critical to the team. And conversely, when you lose, sometimes you're not making excuses, right? But you start calling out things, and unfortunately, especially for people who either don't follow our show, Other Sports, right, or people who don't know you, a lot of times they say you're making excuses why you lost. Oh no, I'm not, right? And again, I give you kudos, right, because you deserve kudos. At the end of the day, when the clock hit all zeros, the Jets were victorious, right, and they did what they needed to do to get the victory, and there's no denying that the Jets are a team that are on the rise, right? We talked about this during our pre-season look at all the different teams, and we identified that the Jets uh, were taking steps, right? I think they've skipped steps, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but definitely we said that they were taking steps and they were pulling away from the pack, and they had power rankings, right? Even early on in the season, we were like, yeah, they deserve to be there. I think we were debating, looking at, the
You had
teams
them
that they
higher than
played.
I had them ranked.
Sure. Looking at teams who they played and, with teams in front of them, I think they're a better team than some of those teams that are in front of them. Anyways, anyways, when I look at that game, there's a lot of things that factor into it for me, right? Uh, and the biggest thing that is a factor is not the injuries on defense, right? It's not the fact that I'm still missing Spencer Brown on the offensive line, um, but it's the play of Josh Allen over the last 6 quarters, right? The play has been suspect at best over the last 6 quarters. I'm going back to the second half of the Green Bay game, and it probably could be for the last 8 quarters. I just really didn't examine the first 2 quarters, right? But what you're seeing from Josh, and maybe it's trending to a second half thing, right? But what you're seeing from Josh is being very reckless, being very careless. You're seeing him misreads, and I'm trying to understand how you can play at a high level for 4 quarters in a Kansas City Chief game, and then you follow that up, and all of a sudden, you start making bad reads, bad decisions, and I've come to the conclusion, right, wrong, or indifferent, that it's because Josh has become Mr. Madison Avenue. And that's what I've come to the conclusion of, right? And you and I have talked about this in the past, right? Where one of the things that really hurts a player, hurts a team, is this in season publicity, commercials, marketing, etc., because it diverts your focus from where it was and where it needs to be, right? And at that time, neither of us had anybody that was Madison Avenue, right? So, but we just saw it from afar,
Right.
right? Now that you're in it, right, and you're scratching your head like, what in the world's going on? Well, now I'm like, it's Madison Avenue, right, and it's real because when you look at the number of commercials, right, and all of a sudden he's popping up nationally here, and I don't begrudge anybody for that. Trust me, I don't. Get your money, right? Because the window is small, right? So get your money. But when you look at that, and you look at the timing of the suspect play, you start to wonder, does that have something to do with it, right? And they seem to align, right? He was on, a Frito commercial or Doritos commercial, whatever, early on in the season, but it was only one. Now all of a sudden you see him in NFL and Cash App and whatever, and you're like, he's almost taking over Patrick Mahomes, right? Who is taking over Aaron Rodgers and who's taking over Peyton Manning, right? And you wonder during the bye week, are you not connecting with Diggs and Davis and McKenzie, right? During the week, is your mind more focused, especially on a Tuesday, on, oh, I got to get to this shoot or I got to do this, right? Is that what's going on, right? Are you starting to get phone calls from, your boys and your family saying, I just saw you in this commercial, right? Diverting you away from what you have to do. Again, not making excuses, right? Just trying to figure out, because a game like this.
How do you go from elite play to now? In fairness to the teams, right? The Packers don't have a slouch of a defense, and the Jets have already proven they don't have a slouch of a defense. So as much as we put Josh Allen at the top, he's not going up against bad defenses, right? So, in fairness,
No,
it sounds like
you're right, and I'm not, and
I
again,
know
I'm
it's not a
not down.
dig, right?
I'm not down in the Jets
But like,
because, and don't take it that way, right? Because the reason why I go there, right, regardless of how good the play is on the other side of the ball, your decision making doesn't matter who's on the other side of the field,
well,
right?
I agree there.
Your decision making is within you. That embodies you. So when you are rolling out and you're making bad decisions, when you're standing in the pocket and you're throwing into double or triple coverage, right? That's not on the other side of the field, especially when Dawson Knox is going right across your face,
Right in front of you.
wide open. Passes you used to make. Those were attempts where in the past they said you had bad accuracy. You shut down all of those naysayers about your accuracy because you hit that pass.
Let me tell you something. You
Now,
couldn't even hit that pass. That was so well covered. He needed to take the ball and run with it or throw it away. I mean, Dawson Knox was not open on that play any which way.
no, no,
Now,
no, no. I'm not talking about that one. I'm
oh,
not talking. I'm talking about the one where I believe it was DJ Reed almost had the interception, where there was triple coverage and really
that
you
was
had,
Jordan Whitehead.
or Jordan Whitehead, because you had double coverage on Diggs, and then you had single coverage on, I believe it was McKenzie in the trail. So you actually had two wide receivers within about a 5 to 7 yard span coming across. And Josh threw the ball that was behind Diggs, but too far in front of McKenzie, right? But they were both in that general vicinity, and it almost got intercepted. On that play, as Josh is in the pocket, Dawson Knox is leaving the linebacker who's covering him and wide open. And if he would have just let him in front, he would have been running. These are things that you saw before, but you're not seeing it now. And one more thing, Stevie, I'll let you go. It's the question is in your mind, right? The decision making, is it that I have to have the spectacular throw? In your mind, is it because I have to get more yards, right? Instead of in your mind, I just need to keep getting yards so we can get down the field. That's where the whole Madison Avenue comes in my mind. That's where I'm trying to put some semblance of why together. Because right now I don't know why, and I don't want to make this completely against Josh. And I'm certainly not taking anything away from you or the Packers or anybody else, but something has changed there. And whatever has changed, we have got to figure out what changed and how we need to fix it.
So to your point, I'm glad you brought that up because if you watch the tape of the game from like NFL Plus, where it gives you different angles of the game that you normally don't see when you're watching it live, right? You can like do the bird in the sky. It looked like Josh Allen was in love with pushing it downfield to make the big exactly what you were saying. That's why I wanted to say it, and then you kind of obviously while you're going, you said it. But the eye in the sky, he had underneath, and he didn't go for the underneath. He went for the homer, and it didn't work out. And why that was, I can't speak to that. But you had underneath stuff, and he chose to go in a different direction. Look, his running, you talked about it, right? Maybe they're going to make a change with Hines, right? You traded for Hines' last name, but you ran the ball 22 times. Your leading ball carrier was your quarterback with 9 attempts.
With attempts, not yards, with attempts.
Right, but he had the yardage. He was number one in the yardage with 84, 86 on 9 attempts. But it's the 9 attempts. And I think we talked about this after the game when we spoke. Josh Allen is a big dude. I mean, he's a large man. What, 6'5", 260? He's a load to get down, and he's fast. But man, I think of Steve McNair, right? I think of Cam Newton, who's probably more closer to Josh Allen's size than Steve McNair. Not that Steve McNair is small in stature, but you look at the pounding that those quarterbacks took in their careers and how, I mean, Cam Newton went from 15-1 on top of the NFL to off the face of the earth really quick. And McNair.
One thing is that the game is being called different. There's actually two things, but I'm only going to give you one. We'll talk off air on the second one. but the game is being called differently than it was even in Cam's
I'm just talking about the pounding. Like you're running with the football, you're getting hit.
But Cam used to take, and Cam ran the same way.
Personal, like he got personal foul penalties that weren't called. Right.
There were shots unnecessary, but there was unnecessary shots that Cam would take that it took him to try to shine the light on the fact that he's getting hit well after the play. He's getting hit low in the areas where a Brady or a Manning at the time would not get hit like that. And they were like, well, you're a running quarterback. He's like, it doesn't matter. Right.
That's
and
right.
It kind of shut that down where Josh now, and you're right, you're still taking a pounding. Anytime you take that ball and you go into the middle of the line or you go on the outside, you're taking a pounding. But Josh is kind of the benefactor of the trail that was blazed by Cam, right? And the awareness that was given. And so was Lamar, right? Because now the officials, I want to be careful, but now the officials are a little bit more, in the league is a little bit more sensitive, I'll say, to the quarterback, right? So guys are not able to do what they used to do. We've seen that transformation a little bit.
I'm going more on the lines like I saw him take shots to the back and almost to the upper neck area, right below.
Because you're a bunch of cheap shot artists over there.
Well, you're going to run it like a running back. You're going to get hit, right?
Hey,
but in all fairness, right? Those are shots that you have your 250, 80 minute, whatever he is, quarterback, your future, taking those shots. I know he's a big guy, but those are shots that, man, we know he can sling it. Get a running back, man. Use your running backs.
There's no doubt about that. We talked about that before. And certainly CBD, I don't want to make this all the Bills, right? Because, certainly there's a lot of good to talk about on the other side. But, to close up on the Josh thing, you do bring up a valid point, right? If you look at the careers of quarterbacks in the league, especially at their highs, right? You're anywhere from 7 to 10 years, right? You look at running backs, and they're what, 4 to 6 years, right? So if you have a quarterback that is parading around as a running back, his shelf life is going to certainly drop off, right, to right around that 5, 6, 7 year mark. And you have only just yourself to look in the window when you have such a great arm talent right? And you have the ability to have a guy under center. Now, I'm not saying not to run because I absolutely love that dynamic. But there's times that I wonder, do you need to do that? And if you would have better talent sitting behind you at a running back position, or you have better talent at an offensive line position, right, that would help the running backs that you have, then maybe you don't have to put that much pressure. And then when you do run, right, you may only carry the ball twice or three times, but those runs are going to be
Yeah.
huge because they're not expecting it because they're expecting 26 to get it or they're expecting 28 to get it or 20 now to get it, right? So, but again, I'm not making excuses. I do think that Josh has played bad. I do think there's some things in there, but I think at the end of the day, when I look at it, you had an 11-point lead, and it is up to you to close out the game, right? No matter what, we can talk about Josh all we want. The defense still allowed the Jets to go down the field and to run the ball right down their throat without their leading running back, right? You say, well, this guy was
Yeah.
drafted high. He was, but their leading running back was sitting over on the side on crutches, or at least with a knee injury, right? And you had his backup in there that just went right down the field from the 5 or the 4, wherever that drive started, and went right down the field, run after run after run, and you didn't stop
Seven runs in a way. 7 runs in a row.
and that's reminiscent of the exhibition game uh, in 90. That would have been 93, right? Where or no 94, where Emmett ran it 8 times in a row, right? You can't stop it, and if you can't stop it, then there's an issue. And when the Packers, and I will say this too, think about this, right? Because when they played the Packers, Dylan just ran the ball right down the throat as well. But you even heard me on the show. I was saying, well, that's because Leslie was staying in, nickel defense, saying you're going to have to throw the ball at some time. And they didn't, right? But at least that happened with, basically the start of the fourth quarter. This was the start of the third quarter, and they just ran it down your throat and only down 11, which made it quite easy for them to be able to accumulate points and to keep cutting into that lead. So is that on the defensive coordinator, right? And again, I'm not taking anything away from your
No,
Jets, right? Because
no, but
you guys
it's
did
the
what
play
you're supposed
calling.
to
Yeah,
do,
that's right.
and you saw weakness in the week before. You didn't adjust to it, right? And what did they do? They looked at you and they said, okay, you have Von Miller, you have Greg Rousseau, who ended up being out, right? You have AJ Epinesa, you have Boogie Basham, you have Jordan Phillips, right? These guys can get to the quarterback in, say 3.5 seconds, right? 2 to 3.5 seconds, anywhere in there. So we need to make sure that Zach gets rid of that ball in less than 2 seconds.
And he
So
did.
what did you see? One step drop, gone. I was
Yep.
like, I was scratching my head like, okay, are you ever going to hold on to the ball in the pocket, right, to try to go downfield? And lo and
It's a
behold,
great game plan,
exactly, it
right?
was.
You you
I
you have a
I really
missing right
wish.
tackle, right? We have a backup, like a third, fourth string right tackle in there. We're on our third right guard, right? And that's Devon Miller's side, right? So you actually have that weakness, and by doing the one step drop, get rid of it. You took the pressure off of those guys.
Yep,
Smart.
I would have loved for this game to not have been Bills Jets, right? I would have loved for this game to have been like a Monday night of, say, Bears 49ers, so that we could be on the phone saying, you see how they're doing this? This is how you're supposed to stop it, right? But we couldn't do that because on my side of that line, I'm like, what the bleep are you doing? Right? And I'm like, you see it coming, right? Why are we backing off 10 yards? Right? Are you afraid of Garrett Wilson? Are you afraid of Denzel Mims? Right? You shouldn't be. And again, this is no disrespect to you, but you shouldn't be. These guys have yet to even cut their teeth in the NFL. Supposedly, you have one of the top defenses. So why are you afraid of these guys? And then to talk on the phone, right? To be like, are you watching this, right? Are you seeing this, right? And probably we would have said Leslie Frazier needs to be fired. Would we not? I mean, in all seriousness, would we
I'm
not?
laughing because it's the truth. We would have said that. Yeah.
Right? If it's somebody else's team,
Sure.
we would have said that.
Where's
So
the adjustments? Why aren't we making an adjustment? Where's the in-game adjustment? Are you kidding me?
exactly,
Right?
that's exactly
Yeah.
it. But I give credit. I don't. Let me be nice about this. I don't like LaFleur as an OC. I told you this before, right? I think he's way over his head. Kudos on a great game plan, but up until this past week, I think he's been way over his head in his game plan calling. I think he's been way over his head in the way that he's treated Zach. And
I got some comments on that. I got some
sure, no,
comments
no, no, no. Go ahead. Go.
on the LaFleur thing, right? Because I there's a particular Jet group out there that I follow, and the guy's constantly posting about the Jets, and he's so far up the Jets' butt that it sometimes it's too much over. And and this statement is actually came from Sean Barber when Zach was a rookie. Okay, he said, if the Jets are going to win football games with Zach Wilson as your young quarterback, you have to limit his attempts to about 20, no more than 25, but you want to be around the 20 marker if you want to win. You got to run the ball, play good defense, let him see the game. Okay. And when you look at the games lately that we have won, it's holding his attempts down. So he's not throwing the ball 35 times, 40 times a
But,
game.
but haven't you been up in those games or close?
Well, so there's a couple things here. We were down in this game 11 points.
But you're close. It's only 2 scores.
Well, we've never been blown out other than the Ravens game, and we played them great until halftime, and then the second half we couldn't do a thing. And
I guess my question to that, and I agree with Sean to an extent, right? If you've decided to put Zach in as your quarterback, right? If you guys are getting blown out, that's where you're seeing the 35, 40, 50 pass attempts, right? If you guys keep it close or you guys are playing with the lead, well, it's a different mindset as
yeah,
far as
correct, and we have been in that fashion, right? We have been generally been playing with the lead, which is it's odd to say that as a Jet fan over the last 5-6 years, right? But we have been playing with the lead. Um, but again, when we've done that, the formula's been able to run the ball, keep his pass attempts down, play great defense, win the game, right? And so that formula has worked in 6 of the last eight games, and generally we've been come out ahead. The Jets as a whole, for me, I mean, this is like uncharted territory as a Jet fan right now, right? Because we talked about tiers, right? And it's moving up the tier ladder. It's like the Jets are here about a year before I think I really even thought they were going to arrive. And it's because their defense has arrived, because we're bringing pressure. You talked about it earlier in the year with your front four. The Jets' front four, okay, had 5 sacks on Josh Allen. 4 of them with 4 or less pass rushers. Those guys in the trenches have been beasts. Going into that week, they were second in the NFL with sacks with rushing 4 or less people. They were second in the NFL behind the Eagles. The amount of pressure they're bringing, and you notice you saw with Buffalo early on the season, when you have that, I think you won a game. You didn't even blitz. You didn't blitz one time because your front four was so dominant. When you have that, now all of a sudden your secondary, it's a whole different ball game now, because you're getting to the quarterback quick, getting the quarterback off the spot, and you get either a coverage sack or you're just flat out boom, you're bum rushing it and you're getting the sack. This whole Jet defense is so different because of that front four. Now you got DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner holding down their side. It's like it's a rebirth. So when we talk about that tier level, our defense is playing so well.
So hold on. Is it so here's the big question, right? And general managers need to listen to this show as I ask this question, right? Agents need to listen to this show as I ask this question to you. Is it the corner or is it the defensive line?
I mean, it's all of it together.
No, is it one or the other? One starts it.
The
One
defensive
starts
line,
it.
defensive line. It's the defensive line because
I don't think so.
it's
I,
the defensive line.
I don't think so. And here's why I say this to you. If it's the corners, right? And I look at Buffalo as an example. When our corners were young and not healthy, we relied on the defensive line to get the pressure. But when you have healthy, good corners, like what you have, right? Not had, what you
And we
have.
had with Revis and Cromartie back in the day.
No. I'm talking about what you have with Reed and Gardner,
Yeah,
right? What
okay.
you have. They're able to play more of a press coverage, right? That then requires that quarterback to look and then look again. That second look gives that defensive line the time to get home. Now that's where they start to work in tandem, right? But that first line, if that quarterback does not have that initial look right out the gate, now he's got to sit back and he's got to take that second read, and it's usually that in between that second and third read that the pass rush is getting there, right? I think it's the corners, and you got two great corners over there. And if you can lock down the first 10 yards from those corners, right, or you can put doubt in that quarterback's mind, now it's like putting an albatross on that offensive line because now that defensive line that is great right now has that extra step to get through, and now they're getting through. Now the whole pocket collapses and everything goes sideways. So to all the agents out there, to all the GMs out there, pay your corners,
This
even
is
your
a
nickel
this
corner.
is a PSA by official words for
It,
it.
it
No,
is.
look,
E-
it's a great point that you bring up. It's a great point you bring up about the corners, right? You associate the pressure to get the quarterback off the spot, and he's rushed to make a decision, right? And so, but again, even if you rush to make a decision, the guy's open, your quarterback's going to hit him. So if your corners are on top of it, fair point. The Jets, I don't know if you knew this, the Jets dressed 10 defensive linemen. It's unheard of in the NFL. That's how much talent they have. And Bryce Huff, who made that last play on the fumble of Josh Allen, he's the 10th defensive lineman, and he was inactive the first 3 weeks. And Salah, they asked him in the presser, they said, why so many defensive linemen? He's like, well, typically most teams dress 8. We feel we're very deep. We dress 9. He goes, Bryce Huff has been so dominant at practice. I have to dress him. So they dress 10 defensive linemen, and their rotation is so deep on the D line that in that fourth quarter, when players are getting tired, man, these guys coming off the bench are so fresh and so powerful because they haven't played and getting tired. It's very refreshing because, and every Jet fan knows this. Even with Rex Ryan, we did not have a dominant defensive line. We had to be exotic with blitzes to get any type of pass rush, right? We had no edge rushing. Now it's like, holy cow, we can get pressure with 4 people. We're like, this is the Jets? Like, this never happens to the Jets. As long as I haven't seen a Jets pass rush since the New York Stock Exchange in the early 80s, right? I mean, we just have not seen it. It's bizarre. It's been a heck of a ride so far through the first nine weeks, right? And the Jets defense has gotten a lot of love. Like Quan Alexander, what a free agent pickup this guy has been. He's flying around. Everybody's flying around. It's so fun to watch. And look, you watch your team make a turnaround, and you watch and how excited you get over the Buffalo Bills and watch that turnaround and how your team has grown and being in that top tier level. It's like, here, I'm just moving up from the 4 to the 3 to the second tier, and I'm watching everything that's going on. It's like, this is great. And I look at the offensive side of the ball. They're listening. The New York Jets are listening, my friend. They are listening. Why? Because the Jets made the announcement today that I've been waiting for. Been waiting for a year and a half. The Jets
Mike
announced
White's the starter.
Elijah Moore is officially will only play in the slot. And I've said it from the beginning. If you want to be successful, Elijah Moore, he's a slot receiver. He is not an outside guy. That's why you have Garrett Wilson and you have Corey Davis. You move them to the slot. You want to be successful. Finally, they made that decision yesterday, and they said that he will only play in the slot role.
Now,
I'm
did they call
excited.
you? Did they call you up before making that change?
No, I think they listened to our show because I've said it, more than a few times of moving him to the slot. So
Did they give you credit? Did they say, as per OW Sports and listening to Stevie
no,
D?
no, they didn't. It's typical. It's typical. Taking
So
credit.
I did bring you off track, and I'm sorry because we were talking about LaFleur, right? And you were going to say something about LaFleur, and I wanted to hear what you were going to say
It's
there.
the calling of the game. Like he gets pass happy. They call me Jay. He gets pass happy. Like with a young quarterback that has struggled at times, seeing the field, seeing coverage, making the right decisions, or getting a little pressure instead of stepping up, he's running back 30 yards like he's in Madden, right? You have running backs. Before Brees Hall got hurt, you have Brees Hall, you have Michael Carter, you have Ty Johnson, right? Now you got James. We should be leveraging the run first, in my eyes. Let Zach get comfortable in a game. We're going out in the game. Sometimes we're passing six plays in a row. We're passing. Like, no. We don't need to do that. And I just don't like some of his play calls where he's just too pass happy. And he needs to have a little bit better balance during parts of the game where he gets off balance. Because all of a sudden he gets a hair and he wants to throw. And to me, with a young quarterback who's now only played 19 games in the NFL, you still got to understand that he's played 19 games in the NFL. He's not a seasoned veteran just yet, and let's slow the game down for him a little bit. And so I wish he was a little bit better with that play calling. But I did like the aggressiveness with the fake punt early on. I thought that I don't know if I would have lined up for a fake punt. I would have lined up like I was going for it, because I can tell you when the punt crew came out, I was not happy. And then I saw the punt protector, and then I knew it was a fake, just because you watch the Jets so often. It just, to me, the punt protector was in a different spot than he normally is, so I knew it was a fake.
Special teams coaches are wired just way off, right?
Is that the
They
GM calling?
it is. It is, and I don't know how to turn it off here. All right.
All right.
It is. Special teams coaches are wired completely different, right? Because maybe it's because it's their time in the sun when they do a fake field goal, a fake punt, onside kick. I mean, when you watch their reactions after a gain of 2 yards,
They won the
you,
exhibition
you,
game.
you watch this and you're like, I think guy's running up and down, high fiving everybody, coming back. I'm like, oh. But Stevie D, two things, right? First, Josh Allen update. And you mentioned it on the injury. So the injury, second last play of the game, third last play of the game. Just as his arm was coming forward, it was being pulled back, right? You could see him gripping his fist, trying to make a fist,
And holding his forearm.
And holding the forearm. That's right. There's a lot of fear on that. And hold on, I'm going to ask you a question. Well, let me finish this. There's a lot of fear on that. So they think that it's a partial. Now this I don't understand. How do you think it's a partial? They think
when you go for the MRI, you'll know if it's a tear or a partial tear.
They think it's a small tear,
okay,
or a sprain of the UCL. Right.
Sprain is a good thing, which I think he had as a rookie.
He did, and they have him listed as day to day. If it is a sprain, which I don't think it is, I think it's a small tear. That's what I think it is. And I think that this is me personally. I think that they sat down and they said, "Can you go?" Because they looked at Case Keenum and they said, "Can you go?" right? Because they know that there's no hope without Josh. We just talked about it earlier, right? He ran more than the running backs run,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
obviously he throws. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens and what his production is going to be. If anything, if it is a sprain, I would hold him out at least 2 weeks.
He needs rest. A sprain needs rest. Now, the good part about it, when you compare football to baseball in a UCL, UCLs
Hmm.
typically don't happen for NFL quarterbacks because you're not throwing the ball the same way you throw a baseball, and the pressure that you put, the pounds of pressure you put on the UCL. Typically, baseball players come from the outside, where quarterbacks come from the ear. Totally different. You're not maxing out your arm. When you think about it, you're not doing this as an NFL quarterback with a pitcher. You're doing that, right? You're coming out. And so you have that where you put all that pressure. That UCL can only handle so many pounds of pressure when you throw it. That's why there's so many baseball players that get that injury. With
Hmm.
football, it's quick. It's quick here, right? And so I think Josh just needs a couple of weeks of rest on a partial tear. You can play with a partial tear. You just got to give it a little bit of rest so you get the discomfort out of there, and then you go again. I just don't understand how they can't understand that it's not. And to me, then the MRI is inconclusive. Why wouldn't you go see Dr. James Andrews?
Thank you. I haven't heard Dr. James in a while now. I haven't heard a lot of people
Yeah,
seeing
he's
Dr.
still going
James.
in Alabama. I believe that's where he's out of.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, personally, I would shut him down for at least 2, maybe 3 weeks. Right? You got the Thanksgiving game against the Lions, and then you have the Browns and you have the Vikings. Right?
No, the
Um,
Vikings you got this week.
right. That's what I'm saying. So you shut him down for the Vikings game, you shut him
Oh,
down for the
gotcha, gotcha.
Browns game, and you shut him down for the Lions game. Shut him down. Right? Get as much rest. You since you have Thanksgiving, you're going to have the extended rest, right? If you lose those three, right? This is reminiscent of Jacksonville, right? Not calling you guys Jacksonville, but this is reminiscent of Jacksonville, right? You lose this get you lose the game, all of a sudden your aspirations for the playoffs or home field are crushed, right? But what's more important is that you're as healthy as you can be going into that stretch run. And if that means that you have to shut Josh down for the next couple of weeks, I would do that, right? I would tell Case Keenum, do not make those dumb decisions that you typically like to make, right? And this is what you do. And I would tell the receivers, you have to help him out because he's special, right? You have to help him out. Let's make it as easy as possible for him, right? The guy with the shoulder pads that come all the way up to here, hey, he's a special guy.
But sometimes the teams can rally around an injured star and realize, hey, we got to keep the lights on. We got to play extra attention. Focus a little bit harder, right? Your line pays a little bit closer attention to detail. Your running backs hit the hole a little bit differently. Your receivers hold on to. Well, you guys don't have a problem with drops, but
Oh, we don't.
no, I didn't see a problem with drops.
Gabe Davis had that ball last play
No,
right
he did.
through
He hit
in,
it
in
right.
his foot, and they come down. Are you kidding me?
No,
It was pass. It
the
was pass
defender was there
interference.
doing all
It
that
was
stuff.
it was pass interference. But we're not going to call that. You had the chance to catch the ball. What are you doing? I wasn't going there until you said the drop thing. Anyways, right?
Anyways,
We've
yeah.
12, 11, 22, right? Those are our Powerball numbers. It's going to be 12, 11, 22. And then it's going to be 12, 18, 22. And if you lose another one, it's going to be 12, 25, 22. So quit losing. Because, oh, by the way, I didn't win Powerball, Steve.
Me neither. It was rigged. They had a delay. I want my money back.
I'm with you. Well, it's like the elections. All of a sudden, we're going to have the results in. Oh, we got to wait till next week. Now we got to wait. Do you remember when we were younger? You sat down at 7 o'clock, and by 11 o'clock, you knew who won all
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
place,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
What's the difference, right? Now you got machines. Let's go back to the big old voting booth machine that you walk in, you pull the lever that automatically triggers the curtain closing, right? And then you go and you click on the little thing, right? You don't have to worry about any hanging chads or whether or not you put an X instead of filling it in like the SAT. You just go in there, you push the lever down, and then you open it up. Everything resets, and you're all set. We never had an issue, right? They want to talk about Dominion, and they want to talk about all this other stuff that's going on with voting. Voting was good, right? Plus, it used to happen when we were in school, right? Because I don't know if your school was a polling
It
place,
was.
but ours was, right? And you see these people come through, and that's when you could count on voting. Now we got to wait. Yeah, we had to wait till this morning, and then they're like, "Oh, well, we still don't know. We still have to wait on this. Now we got to wait till next week. We still don't. We got to wait." That's rigged. And now Powerball, I had to wait till the next day. How do I know that they didn't rerun it just for that lady out there? I won my money back, even though I won a couple dollars.
At least you
Yeah,
won a couple of dollars. I didn't win nothing.
yeah. Well, I netted negative, right? So like I had a $10 ticket and I won $4, right? So I netted negative $6. I feel good because I'm able to cash the ticket and feel like I did something, but in all reality, I contributed $6 to this lady's $2 billion. $2 billion. Are you kidding me?
No, it's
I wonder if you're jinxing yourself, right? Because when you play the card, you put it in, you're like, okay, and then you're like, man, I wonder what I would do with 2 billion, right? And then you
I do.
start playing. You see,
I
well, see,
do. I started
I
planning the money.
I think we all jinx ourselves because we're all like, if I had this, I'd do that, right? And I try. I buy it, right? And then I say, I'm not going to think about anything, and I try to stay in a tunnel. Don't think about it. But somehow, slowly but surely, when I go to check out the numbers, did I win? I'm like, man, if I win, I'm going to buy the Bills, and, and then I don't win. I gotta stop thinking about it. I just have
That's what helps me sleep at night. I get a good night's sleep the night before.
I'm gonna try that on like the $1 million one. I know you too small for you to even get involved with that, but I'm gonna try that, and maybe I'll win 1 million. Cash out option. 55,000, something crazy
Dude,
like that.
you can keep the $1 million. It's not worth my money to play for $1 million.
No, I get it. I get it. All right, so we've beaten this again. Congratulations! I'm extending my hand to you to say congratulations. Nice job, good victory. We'll move on till 12:11. Uh, to 12:11. Oh, yeah, I hear you caught that, Jay. I sure am going to buy the
I,
Bills.
he said he was going to buy the Bills.
No, that was when I said that if I won the lotto, I'd buy the Bills. All right, on the hot seat. Or no longer on the hot seat. And I want to talk to you about this one, Stevie D. Coach firings.
Former Jet got
Frank
fired.
Frank Reich out in Indianapolis. That's not the story.
Oh, no, it's not.
That is not the story. We knew that Frank's time had come, right? It just wasn't working. He caught lightning in a bottle before, and whether it be injuries or the fact that he has no quarterback, where they keep relying on the geriatric crew to come in at quarterback,
That's
whatever.
it. It's the geriatric crew, right? You go from Phillip to Carson to when he's not old, he just
Well,
stinks.
then you go to the baby, right? Right, with Carson to Ryan,
Right.
and then to the baby, and you're like, what are you doing?
But
Right?
if you're a coach and you go into your GM Ballard or whatever the case, however the conversation goes about, because we don't know who said what, but you advocated to bring in Carson Wentz. That didn't work, right? I can't speak to Phillip Rivers, and then Matt Ryan. At the end of the
And
day, I'm sure he said, "Hey, I can get these guys to work in this system. I need a veteran," and it didn't work out. I mean, I don't know that to be factual, but Obviously, the GM is not going to be a scapegoat unless the owner wants him to be the scapegoat, right? Frank Wright was the scapegoat, I guess, at the end of the day. Chris Ballard still had to be the one sign off on the work. So
Absolutely.
how he still has a job is a little odd. So,
But that's not the story.
no, that's
That's not
definitely
the
not the story.
story.
No.
So how did that song go? Monday, Tuesday,
I was
Wednesday,
just thinking
Thursday,
that.
Friday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Jeff Saturday
Who?
sitting on the set of ESPN. That Jeff Saturday, right? Peyton
I think he
Manning.
took the call while he was on set. Hey, Jim, what's
He
going
may
on, man?
have.
Yeah, I'm
That was
live. I'm live.
that was Peyton Manning's hand warmer when he had the outdoor games, right? And so all of a sudden he gets the call to become the head coach. So you say, "Oh, all right, yeah, I get that you're on the set of ESPN, Jeff. What coaching have you done? What's your experience?" Well, I coached the high school team. Huh? And where else? Did college? D3, D2, D1? No, no, no. We were a class 5A high school team, and we went 5-4. So I have a little bit of experience, especially in raising young men. Right? That's my experience. I'm a good teacher, and plus my boy is Jim Irsay. Oh, now it comes out. Right now we want to talk about the loophole in the Rooney Rule. It may be a loophole in the Rooney Rule, maybe. All right, I'll give you that, and it may work out. I'll give you that, right? It may, but on the surface, this is the dumbest decision ever. Ever. You have a guy on your staff. If you're just searching for an interim type head coach, you got a guy on your staff who actually coached in the NFL. This slaps at everything in the face of the NFL. And of course, it comes from Mercy, right? So it shouldn't surprise you. Stevie D, you're chewing over on the lip over there. Go ahead.
It's in all my years of following the NFL, I mean, I've seen some doozies, right? I've seen some doozies, right? Nothing really can shock me. This one shocked me, right? Because you took a guy with no coaching experience at all that was sitting on a set and you call him up. Now, they had a conversation, I think, prior about the team, right? Because they talk often and what they would do, this and that. And Ursay's like, I guess that sounds good. Hey, Jeff, you want to be our coach? Because I just tried right. Like, what message does that send to the locker room? Like tell me a player's not like,
Listen, fantasy owners across the globe are like, I got a shot. I got a shot. If they can see what I can do and how I can put a lineup together, I got a shot.
I'm sending our tape to Jim Irsay. Hey, bud, come on, man. No, it is shocking that when you think of,
He should, but he won't.
he
He
won't.
won't.
He'll own him until he dies. But it's like I never heard of an interim coach coming in from the outside. It's always somebody on the coaching staff because you got to keep the same type of philosophy. You're just kind of keeping the lights on. Yes,
There it
this
is.
is a tank, right? This is a tank
There it
job,
is.
right? Because they need a
There it
quarterback,
is.
right? They need a quarterback. So Jeff Saturday is the guy that's going to deliver. It's a very bizarre, but you know what? That's Jim Irsay. This guy is a weird dude. He's a weird dude. He's been a weird dude for decades. And
So Stevie D, I the only thing that I will say into this one is that Brian Flores should call Jim Irsay and say, "Yo, I appreciate it. Good looking out." Right? Because this just strengthens Brian Flores' case, about the nepotism, the good old boy system, however you want to call it, there in the NFL, and where how he is on the outside, a man that has delivered as a head coach in the league, and he talks about how he's blackballed and
Well,
just
in
the overall
fairness,
numbers.
in fairness, Jim Irsay was not going to hire a coach from an existing coaching staff.
That's okay. I'm not saying Brian Flores had to be hired, but you went off the chart and you didn't follow the Rooney Rule, right? You could have hired. There's plenty of minority coaches that are
Sure.
coaching high
Yeah.
school ball.
Yeah.
You could
They
have
have more
hired.
experience. Right.
You could have hired anybody, and you didn't do it, right? And so that itself, and going to Saturday, just strengthens the case from Flores as far as minority coach hirings and him being blackballed. That's where I'm going with that one. Stevie D, I know you wanted to talk about this, and you're such a fan, especially I guess maybe it's because of the rivalry of the Raiders. And so I'm sure you are not only happy about where your Jets are, but you're also happy about the team that used to be in Los Angeles and in Oakland and now in Las Vegas, and all of the great accolades that they are taking on. Right, they're back in the record books again. So take it
Yeah.
away with that one.
Some records are good, some records are bad. And we're talking about the Vegas Raiders and Josh McDaniels, because I'm just not a fan of Josh McDaniels. I think he's the one guy the owner should never have hired. What he did to the Colts. It's funny how we transition from the Colts to the Raiders and it comes back to the Colts. What he did to the Colts of accepting a job and then walking away after he hired coaches. You want to talk about a person that should have been banned? When we talk about the ban lists and the list of we're gonna that guy should be on it, and he should never be a head coach, and no team should ever trust him to run a team, right? And so to see this happen to the Raiders is even extra special. That that Josh McDaniels is running this team into the ground. It's not a surprise to me, but they set a record. They're the first team in NFL history to blow 3 17-0 leads at halftime. And we just hit the halfway marker. Well, technically, I don't even know what we are because we're in this quandary of 17 games. We're not technically at the half. Maybe we're a little bit past, depending on how many games the Raiders have played. But think about that. 17-0. You've lost 3 games of 17-0. It's mind-boggling to me how that could happen. And it could happen to a greater guy in Josh McDaniels. But
he's just not ready.
And
He wasn't.
they cut Abram, the salmon guy.
So, all right. I didn't want to say anything because in case any other GMs were watching, right? Brandon Bean, please go give him a call.
You know what's
Please.
interesting, but you know this about Abram since he's in the league. He is the 3rd worst coverage guy in the NFL since he's been in the league. 3rd worst.
That means that they're using him the wrong way. He's grade #1 talent. He likes to hit. He's a safety. He's not a corner. You just go back there. Please give him a call, right? See
It
if
won't
it'll work
cost you
out.
much. I can't imagine it would cost you much to sign him.
I can't either, right? They're talking OBJ as well. Go get him, right? Jonathan Abrams sitting back there. You'll have Poyer when he comes back. So now you got Poyer and Abrams. Please give him a call. I digress. Okay. So we hit the Raiders. And Stevie D, I know we're running a little long. There are some other things that we wanted to touch on. I wanted to give a shout out to former Jet quarterback, former Giant quarterback, former, where else was he? Was he with the Raiders?
I don't think so.
He was somewhere else, and now current Seattle Seahawk quarterback Geno Smith. That's your boy. That's your day 2 draft boy, right? Everybody remembers what happened to Geno on day 1. Everybody, agent and
Awful.
GMs like, yo, you're our guy. We got you in the first round. Come to New York City, right? Geno sitting up there in New York City and sits there for 5 hours, right? I felt for Geno. I wasn't even a Geno fan at WVU. Not a fan. But I felt for him because you're watching everybody go, right? And your agent told you, oh, you're next. You're coming up. Oh, wait, we're gonna have to wait a few teams because they don't need to quit. Oh, here we. No, I don't know what happened there, right? And then it ends, and the camera's just sitting on you the entire time, right? And then you leave, and then they're like, "Are you coming back?" No, I'm not coming back, right? And now that statement of "No, I'm not coming back" is being thrown back at you, like, oh well, you have a bad attitude. No, I just sat up here for 5 hours when I was told I was going to go in the first 15,
And the
right?
camera always looking at you, always looking
And
at
that's right. And
you.
so
I can
now
tell you, I wouldn't have come back. I wouldn't have come back.
I tell you, no, I'm not coming back, right? I'm just going to sit at home and chill with my family. I know I'll get a call and wait. But now all of a sudden my agent tells me, well, if you don't come back, you're going to look really bad.
If you
What
don't come back,
for?
if you don't come back, you're going to get saddled with the New York Jets. So you better want to come back.
And so he comes back, and the Jets take him, right? Gino in his sweater with the tie. You remember that? Had the nice
Yep.
little sweater on with the tie. And but it didn't work out there.
Yeah. I am so happy for Geno Smith because perseverance is the best way to describe Geno Smith and what he has gone through his career. He got a
Exactly.
raw deal with the Jets. The Jets were such a train wreck at that time with Rex Ryan and John Izek and all of that. End of the Tannenbaum era and the beginning of the John Izek era and the Rex Ryan, who was the man, and then he was falling from grace. It was just a weird. Rex didn't have control of the team. The team was running rampant. Obviously, he got into the fight with Ek and Polly, right? And it was just not a good
Yeah.
situation, right? And so it just went off the rails. But and he paid his dues, man. You want to talk about a kid that paid his dues, and then went to the Giants. He was the quarterback that replaced Eli Manning, right? So
Yep.
he was associated with the guy there that took
Broke the
Eli's,
record.
yep, bro,
Broke the record.
string, right? And then he goes out to Seattle, waits his turn out there behind Russell Wilson, blah blah blah, and then they trade Russell Wilson and bring in Drew Lock, and everybody says, "Oh, Drew Lock's going to be the guy, and it's going to be a competition." But nobody had Geno as the starting quarterback in Seattle. Nobody said it. It was all Drew Lock. Well, that's why they traded for Drew Lock. And then he shines in training camp. He shines in OTAs. He shines in training camp, and he wins the job. And you watch what he's doing. He's throwing some of the prettiest passes you're seeing in the NFL this year out of any quarterback. He's hitting his spots. He's leading the receivers. He's doing the right thing. I mean, prior to this year, when Geno Smith got on the field in the fourth quarter, you were waiting for that fumble. You were waiting for that interception to have in the fourth quarter because that was the kind of the MO of Geno, right? He couldn't fit. He can't finish. Even when he got on the field, he couldn't finish. To see what he's doing, I am so happy for him because he's waited the turn. He waited through Russell Wilson, and he's rewarding the franchise for believing in him that he can be that guy. Because I didn't think the Seahawks would be where they are. Nobody did. Nobody thought the Seahawks were going to be there. So he was
Thanks,
with the
thanks.
Packers. Wow. And I'm just so excited for him and happy for him. And Pete Carroll sitting back says, "I all told you so. I told you Russell was done. Give me the quarterback. Give me Geno." All right. And Geno throws a hell of a pass. Now, what's also great for Geno, how about that rookie, Kenneth Walker the third, having that let Geno cook, right? But now you got that rookie running back, right? With Kenneth Walker, all of a sudden they didn't have anybody because everybody was getting hurt, and then Walker comes on the field and he's a stud. He's just a flat out stud. So now you got Walker helping out Geno, making Geno even that more effective. Oh, what a great story! What a great story. I know he doesn't qualify for comeback player of the year, and that's probably going to go to Saquon Barkley. But man, you want to talk about a coming out of nowhere and making the most of this is a real opportunity. Man, I couldn't be happier for Geno. Man, I couldn't
Yeah.
couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and just it's good to see, right? I think you said the word perseverance, and really that's what it is, and glad to see that, especially somebody's been counted out, and saying it in jest, right? Let Gino cook. Denver, think about who you have over there. Think about who you paid all that money to, right?
You're screwed.
Sometimes, sometimes when you look at it, it is truly what you see, right? And it wasn't because of one thing or another. So, um, Stevie D, we do have to go to our segment.
It's time! Stop! Wait a minute.
Okay. Um, this was interesting that transpired this week. Um, it it's not a laughing matter. It really isn't, right? And at some point, you have to say you have to cut. Just like we said, it's time. It is time to start taking people and taking the keys away from people, right? We have to take the keys away from Terry Bradshaw, right? What Terry Bradshaw said, and I'm not here to talk about woke, not woke, as they like to say. I'm not here to talk about me too, me three. I'm not. It's not that. But there is a certain level of responsibility in what you say, right? And especially what you say to the masses. You saw it, I saw it, and
Young
I
kids
just
have seen it.
young kids have seen it, and I just think he was derelict. I think he was irresponsible. I don't think he was thinking,
Well,
and
that's
I
for
think that
sure.
that's the biggest part. If you are going to be on live TV and you're not thinking about what you're saying, we're on podcasts that are live streamed and constantly before anything comes out, we've already ran through it in our head of what we're going to say because once you say it, you can't take it back. You can't say and to say I'm sorry, that doesn't cut it because in your mind you said, I think that's good. I'm going to say that, right? And so, I'll turn it over to you, your thoughts on it. But I do believe that Fox needs to make a strong statement. And it's at this point where, you have to look at Bradshaw and you have to say, nope, it's been a good run. Thank you for your time. We're now going to have Peyton Menifee, Howie Long, and Michael Strahan with Jay Glazer on the side. I don't need Terry.
It was like when it came out, Howie Long was quick to say, "Man, why are we going so dark?" Strahan had a look on his face like, "Dude, did you just say that? Like, are you kidding me?" Right? And so it was just a weird moment. But
Well,
the
don't
lack.
forget Sean Payton was like, whoa, whoa.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Sean Payton, who was actually right next to Terry Bradshaw when he said it.
Yep.
It's like the lack of. We've seen others get taken off the air, whether they're calling baseball games or whatnot, quickly gotten. Teams have said you're not our play-by-play guy anymore, right? And having suicide close to my family that has happened, and friends that we've known that has had family members take their life, to say that you've run the ball 5 or 6 times, you bet it's like just it was very disappointing as somebody who's been in TV for as many years as he knows better. And
Mhm.
I there's no excuse you can give. I don't want to hear age. I don't want to hear that he's sick. I don't want to hear anything. You have to be better than that as a responsible. You're a responsible person on TV, and your
Mhm.
words have actions, and it means different things to different people. And Fox Sports, their lack of I shouldn't say Fox Sports. I should say Fox as a whole, not making a move, to me speaks volumes of that organization, that that they support Terry in what he said. I am not a big believer in quick hooks. I do think in discipline. You make a mistake, there should be some type of discipline. At the very least, if he's not fired, there should be discipline where he's suspended for X amount of weeks, or just taken off the air, demoted, whatever. Something has to be done.
But
Just like I thought
this just
earlier in the
happened though.
year,
This just happened, so we don't know yet what's going to
what's
happen.
going to happen, right? but to me, it goes back to ESPN earlier this year with Troy Aikman made
Right.
comments in the booth about, I think, something about wearing a skirt or something like that. Some weird comment. And I apologize because I don't like mentioning something that I really don't have all the details, but it was something along those lines.
Yep.
And it swept underneath the rug. And it got a little bit of traction the day after and the day after that, and then it was gone. Why? Because it's Troy Aikman. He's a Hall of Famer. He's ESPN. It's what the deal, right? There's some other factors I'm not going to get into that maybe that's the reason why he's not pulled, right? But again, he's not disciplined, and it's swept underneath the rug. Terry Bradshaw, we're going to see what happens this weekend, but something should be done about Terry, and they should ask him to step away at the very least for a few weeks, because punishment. We make a mistake at work, right, or whatever, we're held accountable. It's no different. You got to be held accountable. There is no, well, he's a fun, lovable guy. That, well, you made a mistake. You got to pay for that mistake, just like anybody else.
Uh-huh.
You shouldn't have any special treatment. It's just, again, we'll see what happens. But I'm still kind of haven't forgotten the whole Troy Aikman thing.
Right. And we never brought that one up here. You're right. You're right. So, Stevie D, as we start to wrap this up, Brett Favre needs to go to jail. More keeps coming out, right? Week after week, day after day, you just hear.
I just sent you something on that too, right? Didn't I?
It's insane, but we're going to keep up the campaign since we're in the spirit of elections. We're going to keep up the campaign.
Brett Favre backed a drug company that overstated benefits. I mean, this guy's just a bad seed, man. Is Tommy Copper all fake too? I mean, is that going to be next?
Well, no, I like that. I use that as my golf glove.
Right, but I don't know if I can trust anything that's coming out of Brett. I mean, he's endorsing a product.
I'm worried now because I like that. I really do, because you have the fingertips open, so it helps with the grip, but yet, and it's I like that. Don't mess that one up. Ixnay on the, but no, we're just going to continue saying that Brett Favre needs to go to jail, right? It's still very quiet, even though you hear things. There's other stories that are happening around that, whether it be Kanye or whether it be Kim Kardashian or whether it be any others that are out there that seem to dominate the headlines for, I'm not going to say Kanye's is insignificant, but for Kim and all the stuff that she does, or Chloe or whatever, right?
You're keeping up with the Kardashians.
Oh yeah. Well, Chloe with Lamar, right? You got to know that one. But now, don't ask me about the rest of the sisters. But they're always in the headlines, right? Well, how come Brett Favre isn't in the headlines on a day in and day out basis? So we're going to keep that up. But as always, check us out on Facebook.
Man, we can't do the show, but we got to talk about this one thing.
Well, hold on. Check us out on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. Right, we're out there. IG, the gram, however we want to say it. I know we were playing around with that. And also go to our website, owsports.net. What do you got, Stevie D? One last thing.
Travis Kelce.
Oh, you've been dying to go over this one.
I have been. That was Monday Night Football.
It was.
I'm getting old. I can't remember if it was Sunday night or Monday night. Monday Night Football.
Oh no, maybe it was Sunday. It was Sunday.
Sunday night football.
Monday night was Baltimore.
Yeah, thank you. So Sunday Night Football against the Titans. There's a pass play by Mahomes where Kelce should have caught the ball. He doesn't, and he gets intercepted. Like a spoiled baby, he's walking off the field, and he's about 25 feet away from the white line, and he takes his helmet. Well, his helmet was already off, and he takes his helmet, and he throws it to the sideline, and he walks off the field with his helmet off. There's no penalty call.
Okay, hold on. I may challenge you, and this is going to be back to the league. We have seen change of possession downs. If you don't make it on third down, punt team is coming out. Change of possession
The rule
down.
states you're not allowed to take your helmet off on the field of play.
I understand
that rule has been eased in the last several years.
we have seen plenty of players coming off the field that have taken their helmet off as they're going to the sideline.
He took and flung his helmet while he was on the field of play. That's allowed? Andre
That
Reed threw his
that's
helmet down in being pissed off, and he got a penalty in a Super Bowl. Oh, excuse me, exhibition game.
Thank you.
My
But
bad.
he was on the field to play.
So was Travis Kelce.
But he was heading off.
It does not matter. He's on the field of play. That's like, hold on. Stay with me on this. Stay with me on this one. It's like a player running off the field because he's the 12th guy. He has nothing to do with the play. He's a half yard off the field, but yet they throw the flag. How is it any different? You're on the field of play. Come on, people. I know you're out there. You got to be with me on this.
Damn you, DeCola. those technicalities. Yeah, right? But he could have turned around and went back into the play. So that's why.
Okay. The guy's run out of gas. He's out of gas. He's huffing and puffing, trying to get to the sideline. Right? I look at it, and I guess I'm just more pissed off that he acted like a baby because he missed the play, and I'm walking off with my helmet, and I have to throw it in a fit of rage when you're on the field, and you're making it about you. Why can't you be an adult and a man and teach the youth players that are coming up in the ranks and how to act on a football field? And it's a lot more about the kids that are watching this kid play that look up to him. And they say, well, Travis Kelce can throw his helmet because something didn't go right. Is that what you're teaching the youth of America? Because, well, I'm going to tell you something. You watch football, it's the wild, wild west. And kids are watching the pros. And they're acting that way, and I just didn't like it by Travis Kelce. I think he should be suspended. It should be fined. Should be fined.
Yeah. Okay.
But we won't, because the NFL
is. Since you were able to throw that one in there, I do want to throw one last one. That Justin Tucker better watch out. Yeah, oh yeah, Justin Tucker better watch out. Because coming out of out of Kansas, we won't pinpoint where. Coming out of Kansas, there is a rejuvenation to the barefoot kicker who just nailed a 40-yarder under pressure. Just put it right through the center of the uprights. With room to spare.
I told him he needed to go out to be the kicker for his high school team. Nah, I'm not going to do it. Now that he's committed for baseball, he should go walk on and do football and say, hey, coach, this is what I can do. I could not believe, because I didn't really ask him the whole story about that, but I think what happens when they got done playing football in the schoolyard in the rain, right? He's probably shooting off his mouth.
Hold on, Westminster, he was not actually playing the game. He was just watching the game.
Okay, thank you. And so I think he was running his mouth saying, oh, I can kick a field goal. I can kick it barefoot. So the guys that were there saying, yeah, I don't believe you. And so in this film of it, and there he is, and they snapped the ball. I mean, it was a real snap from a center to the holder. I mean, it was a good hold.
Laces it was. Out. He got it down. He got it down.
Right? He got it down, laces out, and he kicks the 40-yarder, and it was down the middle. It wasn't like it just barely made it, like to the right or left. I mean, it was straight down the middle. I was like, what in the world? That was the only one. He's like, I can do it. Oh, yeah, sure you can. They line up the cameras like, yeah, okay. And he hits it.
With room to spare. Justin, watch out. You think you have records. There's a prodigy sitting in the wings. Right now, his focus is in baseball.
Yeah, well, his foot is not doing too well right now. So
because he went barefoot. And who told him to go barefoot?
Because of his mouth. His mouth says, I can do it. I can do this barefoot.
He went legitimate barefoot, right?
Yeah.
The old school barefoot, where you had one foot that had the shoe and the sock, and the other foot that had nothing, right? Was it Stoyanovich? Was he wasn't barefoot, was he? It was one of these guys that last in the 80s, right? That you would see trotting around, Franklin or one of these guys that would come out there.
Franklin.
Tony Franklin, remember him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah, I think he was barefoot. One of these guys They would trot around with like a puma on one side and then like perfectly pedicured feet that they had. They come out there and kick this thing, and then they go back and put their sock back on because it was cold, right? Yeah, come to Buffalo in December, 12, 11, 22. But come to Buffalo in December and try to come out there barefoot.
Well, I just it was something in the rain, and he did it, and hey,
Ooh, elements. That's right.
yeah, yeah. Now he didn't have 280-pound linemen rushing at him where he would crap his pants, if they broke away and hit him. But
Most kickers don't. They usually have the 185-pound DB coming around the side. They don't have the big guys coming after him. Oh, he's good. He's good. Come to
I think he
Florida
should
State.
walk
We
on
need
to
a
the
kicker.
football team. I
We,
think he
we
should
need a
walk on.
kicker. Is their season almost over?
Yeah. I
He
think it's
should.
over.
He should walk on and try to get a second letter. Yeah, come
That's what
on.
I'm saying.
Yeah. How's the football team doing, by the way?
The high school team,
Yeah.
they lost in the playoffs, first round of the playoffs, on a controversial play with Noah Barber, who caught the ball, and it was a 40-yard pass play downfield. He caught the ball, made a football move, and then it was knocked out of his hand. And the ball went out of bounds. They called it incomplete. So I haven't seen the video. I think there's video of it, but he definitely caught the ball, made a football move, and then they stripped it, and the ball went out of bounds. And then the other team came down and wound up kicking the winning field goal.
They kicked, right? So now his team's out, right? So they're done.
They're done.
Oh.
No, I'm talking about in college. I think you should just walk on. Say, hey, coach, I can do
Yeah.
it. Put me in, coach. I'm ready. I don't know if the baseball coach will be too happy about that.
Well, if Dion could play too and Bo could play too.
My thoughts exactly. I mean, it's a kicker,
Right. All the more reason.
That's right.
Like, all I'm going to do is kick. I promise I won't tackle, right? We won't run any fakes. I'm good.
Could you imagine? Then they put him on the kickoffs, and now he's got to go make a tackle. Oh my God.
Yeah, he likes to hit. All right, we're see. Unfortunately, this is where we go. So now we've given you a little insight into our conversation. Somehow this just bled into 15 minutes of us just talking about stuff. But no, we appreciate it. Congratulations again to the Jets. Josh, get your head out your bleep, and go Bills. All right. Well, go Jets as well. But I'm saying that for Josh. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap this one up. For my co-host Stevie D, I'm Vince, and we'll talk to you soon.